Going live. How do you like me? How do you like me? Going live. Live streaming. Are we going yet? Are we going yet? Am I just singing to myself looking like an idiot? Probably. That's what I do best. Best there is what I do, etc. It's not live yet on my YouTubes. It's that awkward phase when we don't know if we're live. Are we live? I don't know. You tell me. Do. Yes, we are live. Okay, cool. How's it going, everybody? Today we are doing another quarantine stream, baby. Got another commission. We're doing a sketch card today, and it's going to be Spider-Man with Spidey sense sort of coming out of his head. So I don't have my brother with me today. I'm all alone by myself. So I'll be singing and being an idiot. And, well, I do that anyway. It doesn't matter. So let me get the chat up here. Is the camera all good? Yeah, the camera looks good there. I probably need to cut my nails. That's going to be nice. You can see my long fingy nails. So I'm just going to get to it. So I got here. This is, since no one else is on this, it's going to be more art orientated instead of joking about. So let me tell you about my tools. I'm using a Pilot Color Eno 0.7 pencil. But in all seriousness, I do like these. These are new. I just picked these up. They get that sort of feel I get when drawing on the computer where there's low opacity and I can see and I can ink straight over it. So let's get to it. So with Spidey Sense, I want him to be sort of looking up a bit like he's going, oh, Spidey Sense is tingling. So let's just start with the circle of the top part of the head, so we can place him and see how big he's going to be. So try and just draw as perfect of a circle that you can. And then this is the center line right here. That's where the nose will drop, the center of the eyes, the middle of the mouth. And then the other curve is going to be where the eyebrows are, and I want him kind of looking up a bit. So this is sort of very basic to break down drawing heads, as you start with a ball and you can add stuff to it. I don't do it all the time. I only do it when things like Spider-Man and stuff like that, or anybody has women especially, symmetrical faces. Symmetry is beauty. You know, if I'm drawing like an ugly character like Wolverine and stuff like that, I'll maybe draw the ball, but the rest is kind of just, I'm not going to break down the proportions and stuff. But stuff like this, it's good to do. Yeah, I started getting back into studying heads and stuff, and I started doing all the symmetry for everything, but then, I don't know, I don't like that symmetrical look for everything. I did a Punisher, and he was, he was too symmetrical, so, Punishers needs to be dirty. So this is a side line here, and you could do another little one, just to show that that's the side of the head, like that. And then we put a little X here. And we bring this down. Now what I like to do to try and find the chin is I like to put like a little circle with the chin, like that. So I'm laying down a circle, matching these lines up for a jaw. It's a real tutorial episode today. Draw along as you're watching and let me see what you do. So this is a commission, and if you want to get a commission from me, as right now I have no job, then please email me at robsonrequest@gmail.com. That's also the email that you can use later on to win a free copy of one of my comics digitally. So I'm giving away another issue of Spidey-Ham number 3. So stay tuned for the end. We'll ask a question and you can win that. So I'm just going to put an ear in here. I don't want his ears to be too prominent, but I like to know that they're there. So let's see here, what have I laid out? So this is where his eyes usually would be. I'm just going to put little circles there so I can keep track. And then that's where his nose would be. Sometimes I like to add a little bump for the nose and Spidey depending on the angle. Just to remind myself that, he does have a nose. I put the jaw, cheekbones in here. Extend his brow a little bit there. I like Spidey with a big chin, like a pointy chin. I always like the way McFarlane did that. let's have his neck here. Neck, you start out as just a tube, you know, like a cylinder. Like, let's say if I put another line through here, think of it just like a tube of pasta or something like that. And as you keep drawing, you get better at understanding the symmetry of everything like that. You know, and how all this stuff works, all the, you know, every muscle, every bone and stuff like. Well, I don't know every bone, but I mean, like right now I'm drawing his collarbone. You need to know that because it's prominent, right? It sticks out. You know, you don't, and ribs are important as well. But like, you know, it's, and forearm bones. Like, okay, there's a lot of important bones. But I mean, like the meticulous, like every like little tiny wrist bone. I never learned that. Maybe if I did, I'd be an amazing artist. But I don't know. So there's the center of the chest follows the line all the way up from here to the center, because, you know, obviously if you could just draw one half of the body and flip it and it's relatively the same. So I'm doing that there. Just going to put the little bottom bumps of the collarbone. Now I'm going to add the neck muscles, and they sort of come down from here to the center where you at the top of your collarbone, and they almost look like upside down beer bottles or something like that, but not as round. And people draw them in all types of ways. I'm going to add the Adam's apple first in the middle of those two bowling pins. And go up. I'm going to put a big cast shadow under his face. That means that shadow there, that means that his head is, you know, his chin sticks out over it here, so it creates a big shadow. And depending on where the light source is, you can change that. I think I'm going to light Spidey from behind, so he's being backlit. Let's put in the, what are they called? The traps? Trapezoids? Is that the traps? What are these muscles called? They're the traps, right? Because deltoids are your shoulder, collarbone. Those, yeah, they got to be the traps. Yeah, they're the trapezoids. The lats are the big ones on the back. I always thought that if you were proper into weightlifting, you might be able to have a leg up on people learning how to draw. Now, there's a couple little muscles that sort of are in between those, and they point up. They only really pop when someone's being aggressive. So, like Wolverine, if he's going that's when these strands would really pop out. So I have him kind of going like this, so I feel like they would pop out. That's the weird thing about muscles, is they don't always, you know, not every muscle is always showing. And the chest sort of ends where the traps come. You know, there's like a little dent here. Where that meets is at the edge of your chest, so it creates a nice line. These are all little shortcuts, so you can lay down your art. And there's also another, the deltoid is not just, they're not just two big pecs, right? I mean, mine are because I'm ripped, but the chest muscles are made up of multiple muscles, like a fan from your armpit, and they sort of fan out. Anyway, look at an anatomy book, okay, bud? Just gonna call everybody bud. I like giving Spider-Man big shoulders, almost like an NBA player. You know, someone like, what's his name? What's that basketball player's name? Superman. Dwight Howard. He's got huge shoulders, and that's the type of look I like to give. It's this fun thing about anatomy. Like with Wolverine, he's really stocky, but I like to give him not gigantic shoulders, but huge, like big gun arms and huge forearms. Like that's I don't know, it's just fun. Chat if there's anybody. Is there anybody in there? No one in the chat. Let me just refresh it just in case it's not working. I've had some internet problems today. No, it's just me. Alright, okay. You don't want to talk? That's fine. I'll just keep chatting jazz. Because I'm trying not to curse. Yeah, doing these live streams, I kind of realized like how much I actually curse, and it's probably not the best way to express myself. Okay, so we got a bit of extra space here. I don't want him just to be standing looking like that. So I'm going to put a little hand in there, kind of going like this, because he's like, what was that? I heard, you know, my spider sense is a tingling. So with fingers, I kind of like to just sort of draw out the shape and then do little circles to know where the knuckles are. I don't know how much you can see that on this camera here. See like the little circles for knuckles, but I'm not the best at drawing hands, so there's plenty of better people to study. Jack Kirby's amazing at drawing hands. John Buscema. John Romita Jr., excellent. Greg Capullo, very expressive hands. Currently burning bacon, Iris, no problem. A no problemo. Actually, this, see, what I did, made a mistake there. I made this finger too big, because obviously our fingers are not all the same size. Hands are very hard to just sort of explain how you're drawing them. It's something that takes a lot and a lot of practice. And I still definitely need practice doing it. So I'm just going to emphasize the collarbone there. It's just sort of adding a bit more line weight there, so when I go to inks I know that I can clearly see where I put all my muscles. Add a bit of his costume in there. I'll make that line a bit darker so I can really see it. Now let's add the Spidey logo. What I like to do is I like to do one little dot, one big fat dot, and then just draw the arm sticking out. Like that. And then the eyes, I always kind of mess up the eyes, and I like to take my time with them. That's why I've left them for last. Because I still don't feel like I've truly found the Spider-Man I like to draw. I've been enjoying the way I draw Spider-Man recently, because it's got a bit of that McFarlane flair, but it kind of feels like my own stuff. Because obviously I'm not trying to just be a rip-off of someone else. I'm trying to, you know, show that I've got my own voice as an artist. But mine always comes off a bit McFarlane because that's sort of the Spidey I grew up on. So I'm going to make his eyes big, like he's going, oh, like he's, you know, his eyes are fully open, so they're going to be quite round lenses. I don't want to make them too close to each other. That's what I always tend to do. So I'm just going to lightly put this in to see if I'm happy. The lines I put down. Yeah, that's looking good. Nice big Spidey eyes. And then let's add the coolness to Spider-Man, which is the black around his eyes. Always my favorite part of Spidey. Especially with the little sort of ticks at the end. Do you have a favorite lesser known villains you want to see in Spider-Verse 2? I loved that they put Tombstone in it. Tombstone's one of my favorite. And the Prowler as well, that was really cool. Right, let me try and think of... Oh, Hydra Man would be cool. I love Hydra Man. He never gets enough love. Yeah, I'm a big Hydra Man fan. I'm hoping that Chameleon will sort of be used in the MCU, but maybe in like a Black Widow movie or a Captain America or something like that. I put those little extras, I put that little space, those little spaces on his lenses. I like that. It's telling me the light's reflecting. You could see it also in the Spider-Man picture I took up from Spider-Verse there. It's just a cool way to sort of, and you kind of do it wherever you pretend you're the camera looking at it. This is my rules for it anyway. And it's reflecting directly at you. Because a lot of what we see is just the way our eyes are reflecting light. Everyone's position's differently, so everyone's view of lighting is different. Getting real artsy-fartsy on this one. let's make the top of his head a bit bigger. He's got some hair under there. He's not just a cue ball. And that should be pretty much good to go on pencils. Let me just tidy up some of these lines so I can see it a bit better. How it's going to turn out in inks. And then I'm just going to freehand the webbing like I did last time. The webbing, I'll tell you, you sort of just follow form and anatomy and stuff. Look guys, drawing's tough, alright? That's why people get paid the big bucks, because the better you are at it, the more you get paid, because it is not an easy thing. There's so much stuff to think about when it comes to drawing. I'm going to make his chin a little bit smaller. I think I made his chin a bit too big. And this is the thing, I've learned to take my time more in the pencils, so that I really know what I'm drawing and I'm not rushing into producing bad art. You know, if there's something down here that I'm not sure about, then guaranteed in the inks it will not turn out as good as I want it to be. Okie dokie. I think I'm pretty happy with these pencils. So let me hold that up so you can get a better view. Spidey. Yeah, that looks good to me. Kind of want to move his eye over slightly because it's slightly too close. Oh jeez, this is gonna. Right, yeah. I'm not gonna sit with that. I don't want to ink it up and be unhappy with that. So let's move this eye over just ever so slightly. Like I said, I'm taking more time with pencils to really get the image that's in my head down the paper. With digital, you have the luxury of, I could have just, you know, selected it, moved it over a little bit. Fine, but that's the thing. I'm trying to break the habit of the easiness of my tools. And get better at drawing traditionally, because there's something magic about drawing traditional. That magic is lost on a laptop or a tablet. It's also nice to have these other camera views so I can get a better look at stuff. Yeah, that's better. So that's real subtle, but it's just moving his eye over slightly. That to me created that moi. So let's get to inking. Going in depth. I'd love to see Big Wheel or Stegron or Gibbon. Yeah, that'd be cool. What exactly are the pros to using those blues pencils versus normal pencils? So if I'm using a normal pencil, the color of graphite is grey, and it can go all the way to black, and that to me really muddies it. Keeping it blue, there is some science behind it, especially if you use the color red. Your eye can sort of see form and shadow better in the color red, I believe. That's what an inker once told me. So there's that, and yeah, it's just because it's light. It's very light, so it's easier for me to see when I'm actually inking. So now I'm using the Zebra Superfine brush. I'm getting used to using this, even though it has quite a fat nib. I'm trying to get used to creating nice little lines out of it. So I'm getting lost in ink and without paying attention. That's really interesting. I've always wondered why most pro artists use blue pencils. Well, another reason they use blue is because it doesn't show up when you scan it, right? So let's say you've inked something. Let's say your penciler. Let's say you're an inker, right? And your penciler has sent you pencils, but you don't want to erase those pencils. You can keep them blue and ink over it, and the pencils will stay there. And when you scan it in, the scanner doesn't pick it up. That's why they call it non-photo blue pencils. So there's lots of tricks you can do using them where it won't show up. That's why a lot of people do their layouts, even if they're a penciler, in a blue pencil. It's essentially just a traditional way of lowering the opacity on something. So I always come back after I finish the main inks to just add a few extra inks at the end, because I find that the Copics kind of take a little bit of the color out of the pure black. And I don't try to do too many lines in Spidey because I like it when the real star is his webbing. So I'm getting lost again. I'm just sitting there, zoning out, inking away. I gotta remember to talk. So on a fun little side thing, me and my brother have been talking today. And we started coming up with our own comic book idea. Because we thought, maybe while this is going on and I'm not working, take the rare opportunity to potentially write and draw our own book together. Well, he won't be doing any of the drawing because he sucks. I mean that in the best way possible. I mean, he's obviously, he won't be drawing because he's not a professional artist. If you're watching this back, buddy, you know what I mean. I'm not trying to be mean. So yeah, we've been chatting about coming up with a little story, and we come up with something really fun. It's a black comedy, and I'm sure that we will discuss it in the future. And I kind of want to get us started on it as soon as possible, because it is a really fun idea. So I can't really talk about it much now, so sorry for the tease. But I will ask, if we, let's say in a month's time, I had a comic for you guys to read, how would you guys like to read it? Would you like it on Comixology? Would you like it on a website where you can pay whatever you choose to pay for it. It could be as low as, I guess, like what, 50 cents or as high as you want. It obviously wouldn't be in print with what's going on in the world, but yeah, I'm curious to see how you guys, if me and my brother came out with an independent comic, how would you guys like to receive that book? I'd love to hear maybe just a little hint of what it's about or what it's inspired by. I will say it has to do with heaven and hell. And it's a black comedy and involves a lot of demons and Satan and God and loads of... It's really fun. That's all I can really say for now. We will definitely be talking about it more. But it's definitely a comedy, dark comedy. It'll be violent. Very violent. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. The website thing sounds pretty cool. That's cool. That was recommended to me by Declan, actually. He told me about a website that you can just upload your stuff to and you can pay what you like. So I think that's the route we'll go. I've sold you already? Great. Yeah, because we both really want to write comics together, and I was up all night. I couldn't sleep, so I'm pretty tired today. And and apparently he was up all night. He couldn't sleep as well, and we were both kind of thinking the same thing. Like, let's just do it, man. Let's make our own freaking comic. Because he's never going to be able to be a comic writer unless I'm drawing something, because there'll be an association with me, and I'm never going to be a writer unless I finally get something out there. And when we work together as a team, I know it's really fun. I think we definitely feed off of each other. We have the same interests. Very brutally honest with each other. If we don't like someone's idea, it's easy to tell, and it's nice to work in a partnership that way. So I'm looking forward to that. So we probably will announce it, and then on my YouTube as well, I'll probably start doing videos of like character designs, probably drawing and streaming pages of doing it, getting your guys' input on stuff. That would be fun. So we will definitely not. We don't plan on keeping it super secret. We're gonna keep it very, very involved. Alright, so I'm not gonna do his little lines yet. His webbing, I mean. I'm gonna wait on that. One thing I do need to do is think about his Spidey sense. So, just going to put it in with blue pencil first, and then I'm going to be inking over it with a colored blue ink marker to sort of really make it pop. The rhyme reason with doing the Spidey sense is I'm picturing there's a dot right here, and I'm just focusing all these lines coming away from that dot. Yeah, because one of the reasons why hang on, let me check the chat here. I have an idea of my own about an average person with multiple personalities, but each personality is a different superhero. That's really cool. I like that. That sounds a bit like Split, but like the good version of it. Man, door, hand, hook, car, door. Manned or hand cooked? Not sure what you're talking about there. Let's get these inks down for this blue in the background as well. I'm gonna get real dirty with these inks. So I'm gonna try and keep these lines very sketchy, so they feel sort of, you know, the sketchiness sort of adds a bit of tension to the art. If they were smooth, they wouldn't have the same feeling. I like just the idea that they've, you know, something's going down, so the sketchiness of the lines is showing. So if anybody wants to know, I don't even know what these are. I just picked them up. Pilot High Tech C. That's what they are. Is that the same make as my pencil? Yep, same make. So I guess I like Pilot products. Who knew? Pilot, if you're watching, I'll happily promote all your stuff. You got great products. There we go. So that's proper Spidey sense going off. I like to go big with it. Split and Moon Knight are inspirations, and I got the main idea after listening to a podcast called Other People's Lives, where the host interviews someone with... Yeah, that's cool. I recently watched a Anthony Padilla video with people that live with multiple personality disorder. That was very interesting. All right, let's get into colors. So I'm going to start with an R27. There's two reds I'm going to go below this, but this is a nice medium tone, so this will set the base of where I want a lot of these colors. So I need to keep half of his face on the curvature open, so let's just start with this is always in shadow here, and then I'm going to keep a little line for a little highlight there. So let's think, if it's the light's coming from here, there'd be a little on his ear. Maybe a tiny little section of his nose left, and a little bit of his lip. Now, I'm no master at this. This is actually something I'm very new at, but it's just paying attention to the planes of the face and the shapes we've created that live in those planes. I'll definitely be darkening that up because I always feel like when he's in Spider Sense, the light sort of changes and it goes a bit darker. Leaving a bit on the top of the fingers as they're all hitting the light. This is underneath his hand, it's not hitting as much light. His finger's turning away a bit from the light, so it's dipping away, and this finger's definitely dipped away from the light. So it's kind of, the light's kind of coming from here. This is the clavicle, so there's a bit of light underneath because it's sort of at the top. Like that. There's part of the chest muscle there. This is where the shoulder separates here. And there won't be as much light there. Now we'll put that there, keeping a rim light. That's where the costume, the red of the costume ends there. And by this point he's fully in the red here. If you could take two other horror icons and pit them against each other in a film like Freddy vs. Jason, who would it be? That's a tough one. I think, did I say on this podcast the other day? I forgot who I said it to. I only saw like the major what people consider classic horror movies for the first time last year. I never watched any of them. It's not because I was scared to of anything. I just, for some reason, like Jason, Freddy, all that stuff passed me by, and I was able to, last Halloween, really get into it and watch all of them. And I loved it. So my knowledge is not super great. But, well, my favourite horror character is Jaws. So I guess I'd choose Jaws. And who could Jaws be versing? It's another big sort of monster. Two monsters just duking it out. I don't know. Well, what do you think? Who should fight Jaws? And what's your two choices as well? Because I'm sure you have two. Right, I'm going to use a R56 now to darken up some spots that I've created. Jaws vs. the Kraken, boom, done. That sounds amazing. The only way they can beat the Kraken is they gotta get the best killer that there ever has been in the seas, Jaws. The ghost of, what's his name, Quinn, has to convince Jaws to ride again to fight the Kraken. Love it. Okay, and now we're going to go even darker with Michael Myers vs. Leatherface or Chucky vs. Pennywise. Chucky vs. Pennywise, that sounds fun. Yeah, I like Pennywise vs. someone. Pennywise vs. Freddy Krueger would be interesting because they both sort of warp reality, don't they? And play on dreams and nightmares and stuff. So them duking it out would be actually pretty cool. Actually, I might put this. Get in there, Mr. Pen. I don't think these highlights would be popping here, so I'm just going to use the base red we did there to get rid of those. Alright, now we're going to go down to an R24, which is a bit lower. Ash Williams needs to fight someone. Ash Williams versus Pennywise would be a pretty cool fight. So we're just filling out some of this real estate here, as Todd Knock would say. With a lighter red. And then now we're going to use a, is it 14? I think so. This is an orange, and this sort of blended with the rest of the reds gives Spidey that nice orangey red pop, which I really like. And again, that's something that Todd Knock discovered while using Copics. And it's a really good look. Because usually, you know, I would just use a higher red there, but the orange gives him, makes him feel like he has a different sort of coat of red to him. And I'm going to cover all these colors with this to sort of blend the other colors that we've made so far, so everything gets to know each other. And there's a nice clean coat of colors. This looks like I need to darken a bit here. This doesn't look like it's really working. So I'm bringing back some of this dark red in there on the spots that I really want to say, hey, these are red. And then I'm just going to bring back some of the actual red we used, because some of it's been lost for some reason with the orange that we made. Got a bit too orange for my liking, basically. Okay, so those are our basic Spidey colors. And then I'm going to use a what do I use here? I'm going to use the slightly purple BV25 on the highlights of his mask, so they're not fully grey, there's just a touch of purple in there. And then on his eyes, well, I saw a picture the other day that looked cool, because I always take a little look at stuff. I saw this little phone case of Spidey here, and I liked how did sort of the grey to show the dips of his eyes. So I'm going to experiment on the paper. We're trying that out. So let's take a neutral grey. Let's take a N1, which is as low as it gets. And now I got to think about where his brow is. right sort of here. This eye socket is here. And then that sort of creates the tiniest little bit of shape to let you know that there is. I'm going to go one darker there underneath. Lets you know that there is a person in behind those eyes. And then the blue, I'm going to start off with a B24 as my main colors, which is quite a prominent blue. And put it here, and then a little bit here. I'm going to pretty much fill this all in blue. I didn't put any solid blacks down, which in his costume, which means it's a lighter blue. So there's that. Let's go a bit darker with a B45. And then a little bit darker with a B97. Not too much, just a little soupçon. And then we'll render this all out with a B21, which is a very light blue. There we go. I think I need to, let's add a bit more B24 over here. Like that. Ash Williams with Pennywise with a cameo from Spawn to help read the... Yep, that sounds really cool. Then I'm just going to tuck in a little BG01 into his costume. It may not even show up, but it's more of a bluey green. It very subtly shows up there, and I don't know, I just like the little touch. Once it dries out, it just adds a little extra oomph. Okay, so that's the basics. What I want to do now is let's start with that BG01 again. Let's sort of pull the colors from the corners of these blue lines we've made, and let's pull them towards Spidey, and we'll do a little fade. So that was a BG01. I'm using a BG000. Trying not to sneeze on it. I don't know. Anybody out there suffer from allergies? I never used to. It's only in the past like 5 years I now have allergies. And now springtime is, it's real rough for me. I never used to have allergies. It's just something that came to me later in life. Don't know why. Well, I'm feeling it. There's that. I don't know. I might do just a yellow behind him. Let's just do a yellow 00 to add a bit more color in there. So it's not just white. And then it will make the fade we did on the lines pop a bit more. There we go, that pops a bit more. now I'm going to add the solid blacks into his eyes. Save that for the end so that they be the most black. And this is when the piece really starts coming together. Luckily, no, but Nashville has a boatload of pollen. So, if not in isolation, I'd be more in contact with pollen this time of year. Yeah, definitely. Well, I will stay clear of there at this time of year. I don't even know what it is that affects me, because there's some days my wife has terrible allergies. Some days she's in dire straits and I'm absolutely fine. And then there's also whatever's affecting me today isn't affecting her, so we're obviously just allergic to completely different stuff. Right, I'm using a 0.05 Unipin fine liner to do the webbing. And the key with the webbing is, let me try and explain it while I do it. I'm going to put a little circle in between his eyes, and that's going to be where the web spawns from. So one straight up the side of his head, and you don't do another one straight down. You kind of break it off to the side, and another one broken off to the side. And these lines wrap and curve around his face in a circle. To create the webbing. I was never confident at doing this, but after drawing Spider-Man so many times in comics, it's kind of starting to make sense to me. So I like to do it from the point of his costume. Yeah, we're allergic to each other. Yeah, that's right. This is a lot where artist styles come from how they do Spider-Man's webbing. I've noticed. And Tom McFarlane, he did a lot of he did a lot on the webbing. And then someone like John Romita Sr. made the webbing very wide and big, which I really dig actually, because in the long run, if you're drawing this character so much, it does save time. Having to do less webbing. I kind of like doing a lot of webbing, not too much, but a little more than usual, because it has that McFarlane flair, and I just think it looks cool. And then the webbing on his fingers just sort of ring around the fingers. Following the shapes that I've created. And this really gives Spider-Man a lot of depth. When I doodle, I always do the circle in the center too. Everyone always thinks you're supposed to do a dot in the center of the mask. I guess everyone has their own way of doing it. Yeah, some people do a dot. I like to do the little tiny circle. I just think it looks cool. Now this is the tough part. This is the webbing on the body. And I like to start from the neck and sort of go around like the cylinder of the neck, like we did when we established this. And then I also let the webbing get wider as it goes. It's not constantly the same. It's more concentrated around the neck and then gets wider as it goes. So I kind of like to start at the base of the neck to get the basic line down where I want, keeping these webs fairly close to each other. This thing, I love Spidey, but when you draw him on a book, whew, you get tired real quick of having to draw this webbing. So now I've very slightly made the webbing a bit wider than it was, and I'm going to keep doing that. This is the concentration part, so probably won't be talking much. I'm going to make it wider again. And now even wider, definitely on the chest part. That's where I really start to separate it. And this just creates like a cool, I don't know, just for your eyes, it just looks really cool, I think. It's almost like a pattern within the pattern. And it gives variation to it as well, which is good. I'm just going to darken up some of these lines so that they pop more, because again, the Copics kind of, I guess it's the acidity of the Copics really take away from the darkness of the initial inks we put down. And that might just be the pens I'm using. I'm sure there's better pens than what I'm using. My dog's barking downstairs, I don't know why. She never really barks. I think she's probably seen a squirrel. Take my brush pen out again, and I definitely like to darken up lines afterwards. It's almost like a second chance to really beef up the lines you want to beef up, and maybe not beef up so many lines that you didn't like. I'm just going to make the line slightly thicker on this side, because this is the side of Spider-Man that's furthest away from the light. Oh, I'm an idiot. I forgot to do the webbing on his face. Nearly finished there without doing that. So again, I like to start small. Just like at the neck, with a tiny little web, and get a little bigger. And keep getting bigger. I do recommend also flipping it. Don't always draw it straight on. Like if you flip it, you can kind of see stuff at different angles, and it helps your brain really see where you're trying to put these lines. This is pretty much coming to the end here. There's not much else I can think of adding to it. I might need to add a little white here. A highlight. And a little light, extra light coming in to cover up these pencil lines that didn't come out. Let's take a white pencil, just any white colored pencil, and then I'm going to go and add I'm not going to push down hard, but very lightly add some white two little spots that I want to make sure are highlighted so they stand out a bit more. Just where I think the light would be touching him. And to make him pop. This is a cool little trick. I like this trick a lot. You know, just in case you over darken something with a white color pencil, or many. I mean, I could have used a very light yellow or orange here if I wanted to. And then I'm going to bring this pencil sort of around the chin and really bring out that sort of, he's highlighted all around. Actually, I might go over his mask a little bit there. Over his shoulder. This is kind of like that Venom piece I did with those highlights that were all around. I just love that look. A little extra highlighted look. I've always loved that. Let's definitely add this to the blue since the blue's gotten a bit muddy. And I'm going to add it all the way down. This doesn't really make sense, but I'm adding it down his fingers just so that they separate a bit from the red of his body. And that gives him sort of a nice shine now. I feel like he's really, really popping. Say Spider-Man's tingling. I'm not sure about this just yellow background. It's not doing much for me. I need to sort of like do a test or something. I don't really have a little piece of paper around me. Yeah, I'm not sold on this yellow. Maybe, actually, you know what? Orange. Orange is better. Let's just make it orange. Let's make it really pop. The yellow was kind of coming off as a bit of a wee color. And I ain't talking Nintendo. So whilst I'm finishing it up here, I guess this would be a good time for me to try and think of a question so that you guys can win an issue 3 of Spider-Ham. So let me try and think of a question. Can you name 3 of Spider-Man's love interests? And that's it, yeah. Can you name 3 of Spider-Man's love interests? And if you do deep cuts, I may not be able to get it. So just think of like the classic big time love interest. There's 3 very prominent women I can think of in his life. And Aunt May does not count. So if you guessed that right, spelling does count. So make sure you spell it right. If you guessed that right, you'll win a free comic book, which is a pretty sweet deal. It means I don't make any royalties, which makes me very sad. And what else have I forgot? Oh, I forgot to do freaking... I forgot about shading in terms of shadow. Now I'm going to use W3s, which a W3 warm 3. Actually, his skin's quite, or the suit's done. I'm going to use a W5, and this is going to create a bit more shadow in the places that I want shadow. this sort of final touch to me is when it really starts popping. Yep, I dig that. And then I'm going to do a little white outline. To make him stand out from the background. My Sigma gel pen. And I'm going to add more white to his eyes because I really need to cover. I need to make these eyes pop. Go. And actually, let's bring a bit more blue into this background. Looking a bit too white. Just like me. That, and then let's do the BG000 because I don't want to do a huge fade. Just let those colors remember each other. Pippy pops a little bit more. And let me just put my signature on this, and then this is donezo. Okie dokie, so we got ourselves a Spider-Man Spidey Sense sketch card right here. Let me try and get it so you can see it better on the camera, because this camera I paid a lot of money for and it's not very good, which makes me angry. So let me hold it up to the better camera down here, and then you obviously can see a picture of it. It'll be the icon of this video if you ever want to rewatch it, and also it'll be on all my social media. Alright, let's see who answered the question. I still have the book I learned from during childhood, which was Spider-Man the Animated Series how-to book. That's cool. I'd love to see that. Damn kids, they're not worth it. I was watching while trying to. If I get a chance later today after work, I'll tweet you guys some pics of the book. Cool, definitely do. Looks great, mate. Thank you very much. Would you rather spend a day in Disney's Galaxy Edge or the new Marvel Land coming to Disneyland? I'm a major Star Wars fan, so it would definitely be Galaxy's Edge. Mary Jane, Gwen Stacy, and Black Cat. That is the correct answer. I mean, I was kind of looking for Black Cat's alternate name, but I totally get it. It's Black Cat. So, Green Day. Oh, no, wait. Who said that? Irish. Irish, you win it. Please email me at robsonrequest@gmail.com, and I will send you your digital code of SpiderHam3. Thank you very much, guys, for joining. Now, in a minute or so, probably like 20 or 30 minutes, on my Twitter, I forgot to ask you guys. So just blast me on Twitter now who you think I should draw next for my fan sketch. So far, what was the votes? General Grievous is going to be one of them as a vote. There was a couple of others. Can't really remember. Anyway, tweet at me. Tell me who you think I should draw next, and then I will be putting up a vote in about 20 or 30 minutes. That vote will end around 4 o'clock tomorrow, And whoever wins that, I am drawing next on the big old art piece. So thanks very much for joining, guys. Stay safe and have a good one. Let me just now try and end the stream awkwardly, like an old man. I'm just an old man.